Welcome to God Friday Discussions. As we embark on this journey together, it's important to acknowledge the diversity of thoughts, beliefs, and experiences that each of us brings to the table. Our discussions are rooted in a spirit of exploration, learning, and mutual respect. The views expressed are those of the individual participants and are presented for the purpose of open dialogue and personal reflection. Please note, we recognize and honor the freedom of personal belief. This platform does not advocate for any singular viewpoint as the absolute authority on spiritual matters. Our discussions are intended as a safe space for sharing and growth. We encourage you to approach each session with an open heart and mind, but also respect your personal boundaries. If at any point you find the content not to your liking or comfort, you are free to disengage as you see fit. While we seek to provide enriching content, participation is entirely voluntary. We assume no responsibility for any personal decisions or interpretations made in response to our discussions. Our aim is to foster a community where curiosity, faith, and understanding can flourish. Thank you for joining us on this journey. And thank you, everyone, for joining us. And today's topic will be technology. And before we get started and dive in, I just wanted to get God involved a little more here and do a prayer. So here we go. O divine providence, this assemblage is composed of thy friends who are attracted to thy beauty and are set ablaze by the fire of thy love. Turn these souls into heavenly angels. Rese- res- resuscitate them through the breath of thy Holy Spirit. Grant them eloquent tongues and resolute hearts. Bestow on them heavenly power and merciful susceptibilities. Cause them to become the promulgators of the oneness of mankind and the cause of love unconquered in the world of humanity, so that the perilous darkness of ignorant prejudice may vanish through the light of the Sun of Truth. This dreary world may become illuminated. This material realm may absorb the rays of the world of spirit. These different colors may merge into one color, and the melody of praise may rise to the kingdom of thy sanctity. Verily, thou art the omnipotent and the almighty. And so, did anyone have anything they wanted to bring up in particular? I do have a few questions, but just curious if anyone had anything they wanted to point out or.
Yeah, I kind of feel like what we did last 2 weeks rolls right into this topic, so that's pretty cool. And like, I'm interested to see where it goes today because take a look at technology, how it kind of like ruins society somewhat, right? If we use it wrong. So
At what
really
society?
interested to see. Am I cutting out?
I just couldn't really hear it. It what society? No, it
I'm
adds
saying how
noise to society.
no technology kind of ruins society. It sets society back.
Okay, so we're starting off on a negative take on technology. Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah.
I think I think technology, like as it makes our lives easier, so we become complacent.
Hmm, hmm. I think also we kind of need to maybe narrow down what technologies we want to focus on because it's such a broad term. So, I mean, for example, Matthew, you're driving right now, right? That's technology. Know what I'm saying?
Uh-huh.
So, I mean, I think that we should kind of develop a focus area, and I suggest we look at communication technology like the internet, computers, social media. I think we should narrow it down to discussing that. I don't know what your take is. Yeah.
Well, the when Raj that third question, Raj, that kind of like ties into exactly what he's talking about.
Yeah,
Um,
I checked. I saw the questions. Yeah. Can you just remind me what was the third question?
it was how can religion be viewed as a spiritual technology? And in a way,
Okay.
it's
Okay.
kind of communication. It's communication with God through prayer or um, uh, communication, loving communication with each other. Uh, I guess that's kind of
Mhm.
the I don't know. I was learning about this thing called the covenant, and
Mhm.
it's like an agreement between God and humanity. And the idea is humanity is supposed to work together, put aside their differences, their egos, and their preferences, and work for the whole of humanity. And then
Mhm.
God rewards humanity for us doing that. That's kind of and that's the covenant that I've kind of learned about.
Mhm.
And
So where I can immediately jump on that, the issue of covenant and also bringing humanity together, to work together, is to look at the upside of communication technology. Because look, without the communication technology we have today, for example, the three of us couldn't be sitting here having this discussion, right?
Yeah.
very good
So
point.
yeah, there's definitely good in it. Right? There's a positive aspect of what we can use technology for. On the other hand, we could also be using this exact same technology, and be watching, like, I don't know, pornography, right? And so that would be like a negative spin on the same sort of platforms or same kind of technology, right? So how I think we need to, I think what technology does is, I don't think technology is bad. I think what technology does, it's an amplifier of both good and bad. So we can bring about so much good through technology, but at the same time, we can also escalate bad to an enormous level. And since bad is usually easier to accomplish than good, um, it tends to be used a lot more. I would think for negative ends. I don't know what you guys think about that.
Yeah,
I'm,
that's actually a really good way of putting it. If we use it for exactly what we're using it for, we can actually knock down boundaries that are biases, even that existed. So, kind of about the technology thing. One of the things about the question you brought up, a third question on here, Doc Raj. So, has anybody ever seen the show American Gods?
mm,
No.
So it's an interesting, really good. It was a really good show. It was on Stars. Ended up getting like canceled, I think. But the concept is that these deities can only exist as long as people believe them, right? And then you got this battle between like the old gods, the new gods, and one of the gods in the show was actually the internet and how people actually worship the internet, and they really do. Like people are glued to their phone looking at the Facebook, Instagram, 24/7, right? So it had me thinking, like, can technology be a god to somebody?
yeah, I think it can be a
Yeah,
false
that's
god.
a very, very good observation. Because there is a concept that says your God, your real God, is what you focus on most. That's actually God to you, right? Because I mean, the point of the monotheistic religions is so that you worship the one true God and not all these false gods. So there's no point in saying, okay, our goal is to worship the one true God if there wasn't false worship, right? Otherwise, we wouldn't need to say that to begin with. So it could be, I mean, a valid supposition that the internet, or your social media or even movie series, because I've been like watching movie series lately because that I found interesting. You can just watch one after the next, right? You can lose track of time. It can consume huge chunks of your life. Because I was like watching this movie series and I was like, damn, I can get like another PhD in this time, man.
What
You know?
movie series?
you know? you know? So, yeah.
What movie
What
series
about
were you watching?
It's a very, oh, you see, I hardly ever watch series. But someone told me like, go and check out this lawyer thing, it's called Suits,
Oh yeah.
right?
Yeah, yeah.
Because I like law. I generally like law, I find it interesting. Yeah.
I hear you. I hear you.
Yeah. So
I
I
had a
just,
little suits run for a bit.
yeah. So it's not even a new series. It's old because generally I don't watch movies, let alone series. But I thought, my kids have a Netflix. I thought, okay, let me uh, check it out. Because someone mentioned it, and then I was like, wow, this is actually interesting. Yeah.
Nice. Yeah, so anyway, in preparation for this talk, I was talking with Nathan a little bit about technology, and he brought up an interesting point where you have like technology and science kind of go hand in hand together a little bit, and he brought up an interesting idea like when or some maybe someone said this or something, but when you have science spirit if you have spirituality and science and then you you just kind of focus on spirituality, it kind of creates superstition. But then if you have science and you don't pay attention to spirituality, it kind of creates materialism. I think a lot of the negative effects of technology is because of this kind of lack of spirituality involved in the science or technology of whatever. And then when you have them both together, that's when you get like the good stuff that helps
Mhm.
humanity, that raises up all of us. Yeah, and I thought that was a cool concept. So like keeping um God, like putting God first is a key way to kind of leverage technology because you have to keep the spirituality frame uh in there when you're, I don't know, making stuff, building stuff. I think
Mhm.
that's a uh the way we can move forward and develop like empowering technologies that are good rather than bad.
what
But there's
about
one development, Sharaj, in with technology that I find very disturbing, and I've noticed over many years,
Mm,
is that most technologies developed is there to make things easier, and it's often there to make things physically easier for people, and that creates a lot of health problems.
mm,
It's like you don't have to now physically sweep your house, right? You could put the vacuum cleaner on. Now you have the robot thing, right? It's automatic. You don't even have to vacuum your house. It just moves around by itself, right?
mm.
It can sort of sense when the ground is dirty and just do it, right? And then you have like Alexa, that can basically do everything else, right?
Yeah.
So the thing is like we've become uh, so dependent on technology, but the trajectory of technology is ease to make things easier, and
I
often to make things physically easier. And I think that's very unhealthy in a way.
I
No,
mean,
the trend.
I hear you there. I would also say that technology is there to save time. So like
Hmm.
a chainsaw versus a normal saw. Um, it takes a lot of sweat and time and work to saw a tree down with a regular saw, but with a chainsaw you could do it in a few seconds. And
Hmm.
like it definitely, and so that dynamic totally it changes. That having a chainsaw changes like tree cutting down dynamics and just like our ability to scale things and stuff like that. So um it does uh and yeah, so in a sense it's making it easier. I think it's also saving on time, and I think it's up to us to do things with this extra time to to focus on God. And I think like so it gives us I think it gives us a choice. Uh and if we're not really aware of this choice and like we're kind of caught up in the worldly world, then yes, technology can be very distracting and inhibit growth. But if you're kind of, you know, staying on the spiritual side and keeping God in the center of whatever you're doing, then I mean, I would say you're probably using technology for things like this or um like trying to gather people to get together for worship sessions or um coordinating with others to do some sort of service for people. So yeah, I think it really just depends on where you are with the worldly world versus the spiritual world and like how much I guess attention you're putting on the spiritual world. Like, yeah,
Matthew, you still with us? I think Matthew's connection is dropping.
yeah, I
But
think
I mean, to
he's
continue, yeah, he's out shopping.
yeah.
To continue with the analogy, Shraj, what I'm trying to get at is I actually tell the story where I ask my students, I do this every year, okay? Because
Hmm.
I want them to work hard. So I come up with this story. And I say that, look, if you go to the kitchen and you switch the kettle on, right? And you put some instant coffee in a mug and you put water over it, right? How long does it take you? Maybe 5 minutes at most, right? To
Hmm.
make a cup of coffee, right?
Hmm.
Versus the Bedouin in the desert, because they know it all too well, right? These people come from the desert, right? He's got to go and get some wood, right? And light a fire every morning. And then chop the coffee beans with a rock, you know, and then boil water in a pot and wait. And it maybe takes him an hour, right?
Hmm.
Now, the question is which cup of coffee would be more satisfying? Which guy enjoys his coffee more? You know,
Yeah.
me with the electric kettle and the instant coffee, or the Bedouin guy with the, that has to go through the whole rigmarole to get that pot of coffee. What do you think?
I think when you make your own thing, it's always better. So like the guy who's getting the instant coffee, someone else made the powder and then someone else,
Mhm.
you know, made a kettle for him to boil water. But then the guy who is making it all himself, there's a lot of reward in doing these things, these creative things.
Yeah, which kind of leads me to the idea that the human psychology is tied to um, feeling satisfaction after great effort.
Mm, mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
And when life is too easy, we are robbed from that. Know what I mean? And technology tends to make life too easy because we can't find that struggle in the mundane things of our daily lives anymore. Like I don't have to walk to the well to fetch a bucket of water. Right? I switch on the tap. You know what I'm saying? I don't
Yeah.
have to go kill a chicken to have, you know, I just, buy it on the app. It gets to my door. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So, um, so there's that aspect also of the way that technology is used or has evolved that I think creates a lot of dissatisfaction in people's lives, but they don't understand why often. You know
Mm,
what I mean?
yeah.
Yeah. So how do you think we can sort of work around that?
Yeah, I mean, my thought process around that is like when technology makes something easy, humans will always find something that's hard. So it's like we will automatically make lives our lives difficult just because we have the capacity to, and we have like human beings always want to grow, so we're never satisfied, and we're never, um, at least our bodies, our worldly selves, are never satisfied. And so yeah, I think it really is, in my mind, just a matter of spiritual awareness, and just um, I think I think even though technology makes our lives easier, there's still a lot of hard things about life, in life, that um, we have to kind of suffer through. Um, and yeah, like I see what you mean about technology making things less satisfying because it makes it easier, but I think satisfaction is more to do with spiritual awareness of God than anything else. And yes, I mean, I was going through some quotes today, and it was talking about how suffering actually brings joy because of it's like um tilling the soil. And so when you till, it's kind of like a suffering action, but it makes the soil um, fertile for growing things and harvesting food and stuff like that. So um, yeah, I think that, like what you're saying about technology making things easier, taking away suffering, yeah, that could hamper our ability to bring joy to ourselves. Um, but at the same time, I think there's always something hard you can do to suffer. So it's like it's just like it's like a circle that's growing, like okay, technology is like a circle of comfort or easiness that is growing, but then there's always like more surface area on the outside of the circle to do hard things.
Hmm. Yeah, yeah, I get it. I get it. It's not that people can't do hard things when life is comfortable. It's that a lot of people, uh, the reason why they seem to be so satisfied is because s- there's a certain sense of struggle in their daily lives. I mean, for normal things, for us, first of all, people would think it's just automatic. You know what I mean?
Mm,
So for normal, things, right? And it gives them like a sense of satisfaction to because they deeply appreciative because of the struggle that is involved.
hmm
Um, and when you need to go out to look for something difficult to do because everything is so easy, it's just not the same. I
mm,
don't know how to express it, but it's just not the same.
mm,
You know, and I feel like that we could develop technology in a way but it doesn't necessarily do that or what it's doing now.
hmm
You know what I mean? I
I
do
think
feel that would be like a next level smart technology, like smart technology that has a psychological element to it. You know
Yeah,
what I mean?
yeah.
Yeah,
Do you have like an
yeah.
example of maybe something you think of that um is making life too convenient, and then how we can make something that would make it like more psychologically aware of, how we get joy through suffering, or something like a car, like maybe a car where you have to, like a bike is almost like an example, or yeah, I don't know. Do you
Well,
have, yeah,
I could give you an example. Let's say, with these apps that you can order food, right?
yeah,
You come to your door,
yeah,
right? So that makes you really lazy because now you don't even have to go out to buy it,
you're right.
right? You just order it on your phone and there you go. 5 minutes later, it gets to the door, right? Now, what they could do, like with, and I see that's how that's convenient and it's amazing. But what they could do is that they could have like three strike rule. You order 3 times. The fourth time when you want to order, they'll say that okay, this time you got to pick it up. I mean, you got to leave the house. You know what I mean? They could have like uh, some element that takes people's well-being into consideration. Also, you know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Because I know people who just never leave the house.
I thought of a
You
funny
know,
thing. It'd be a treadmill. So like you can only like order food after you run a certain amount of miles or something.
yeah, yeah,
They'll
yeah. I
just
mean,
throw
you
the
could.
dog on there on the mile.
Huh?
I said they'll just put a dog on the treadmill and the dog will run for them.
Actually, there's, with some health insurance companies, you got to wear like a smartwatch like this here, right?
Mm.
And then you got to do your steps every day. It tracks it with the insurance company, right? If
Mm.
you do meet a certain level, they give you a discount on your insurance goes down. The
Yeah.
health insurance goes down. Yeah,
Yeah.
and or you get a free membership at the gym. Your health insurance gives you the free membership at the gym. If they see on record that you're using the gym regularly, right? The insurance comes down because they know obviously the healthier you are, statistically, is a less likelihood that you would even use the insurance to begin with,
Mm.
right? Because you're not likely to suffer a heart attack or medical emergency because you're that healthy, right? So they work it in. Like, okay, so that's like a smart use of technology. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Uh, it's in their best interest for you to be healthy.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I do think that technology can take these elements into consideration. You know?
Yeah. 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 That's a
Well,
cool example.
I think, I think what we're saying is kind of the same with everything, right? So you talked about those people that like to struggle on a day to day basis so they can feel a sense of accomplishment at the end of the day, you know? And then I think of it like this. Like I remember like the first time I got a car and I paid for it, right? Then when I went and picked it up, it was actually one of the Pontiac Grand Prix 2001 back in the day. Shoot, that was almost 20 years ago I bought it. And I had the car and I just was so amazed I got a car. And then it was like, oh, I got a car. I think we realized that shit's the same with everything. Like, there's only a thrill because at first you didn't have it. Then like once you have it, like it's just like, oh, I had it. So fasting, things like that are necessary, like or making yourself suffer to an extent so you can enjoy things more. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. You gotta, you know what? You gotta actually train yourself to be in a space where you can always appreciate that car in a way. You know, I mean, I had a Mercedes Benz ML, and I had it for many years. But every single time I get in the car, I have a big smile on my face because I enjoy driving the car so much. You know what I mean? And and that was because whenever I drive like in another car, right, it just wouldn't be the same. I'd be like, yeah, my Mercedes Benz is old, but it's still like a plane when you get in it. You can't feel the road. It's got a superior suspension. By the way, Mercedes Benz, you can sponsor this video. Yeah, send us some money because I'm doing some free advertising for you guys. Um, but yeah, but I mean, I'd smile every time I get into the car because it's like, I was happy, very happy with the car. It was an old car, but it was mine, you know. So, and it was a very good car. But the point is, you gotta like, I wouldn't drive my car every day or everywhere. You know what I mean? A lot of the times I just walk. Sometimes a friend of mine would be like, okay, look, let's go here or there. I'll be like, okay, why don't you catch a ride with me or I catch a ride with you? Why we don't all gotta go with our cars? You know what I mean? Uh, so so then you kind of there needs to be contrast, is what I'm saying. You gotta in order to appreciate what you have, there needs to be a reminder. In a way, it sounds kind of bad, right? But there needs to be a reminder of how shit everything else is. you know, and I think you know, with technology, I mean, that's kind of what you learn. Um, you do learn to appreciate things, through the experience of the various technologies, I guess. Yeah.
Do you remember when we were kids and when a show came on, right? Like you had a show you like. Where was the show? Everybody had a show they liked, right? That came on sometimes network, sometimes cable television, right? And if you missed that show, you just didn't see that show ever again. Like maybe you'll catch it on the reruns. It was just like, oh, I can't just turn on Netflix and put on a show. I can't just sit here and binge watch a show.
Mhm.
So, like as we think about it, people spend more time searching for something to watch on Netflix than they do actually watching Netflix.
That's true, true. Yes,
Mhm.
there's too many options.
Too many options. I look at it like sometimes I just put on the TV and I go like on uh whatever pops up. I'm like I'm just playing it. Like just play it. Because when you have this option, the appearance that you have all these options, you really don't appreciate it. You're like, I don't know.
But I think that's important. That's a good point. Like technology kind of makes things easier, and then we can get complacent about it. I think learning to train yourself to be thankful for these things, like is a very powerful way to kind of avoid that whole complacent mentality. And yeah, I think just that's why gratitude is such a key in spiritual teachings, because I think it does take away complacency with things that are easy and I don't know, when things are going good.
Hmm. Absolutely, but it's a mindset, right? Gratitude is a mindset. You gotta nurture that mindset.
Hmm.
You know,
Through
you gotta say
practice.
to yourself, like Matthew's driving now. He's gotta say to himself, you know what? The car I'm driving is the best car for me, right? But if he's parking next to a guy who has a Ferrari every day, right? He's not gonna think that, you know. He's
Maybe,
gonna
I
be
don't
like,
know.
"Damn, what do I do to get a Ferrari?" You
Yeah.
know. So you gotta cultivate the mindset. Yeah.
Hmm.
No,
Totally.
I think you're onto something there, man. Like one thing I try to do in life is I try to stay around humble people, like people who aren't um just I don't know how to put it. Maybe they're not like they don't make a lot of money, things like that. You know what I mean? And just a reminder of like how appreciative I should be of what I have. You know what I mean?
Mhm. Yeah,
And
that
like
helps.
it makes me appreciate my job, everything. So
It kind of reminds me of Fight Club, like when the guy goes into those therapy sessions and he's like he doesn't need to go to the therapy session, but he gets a lot out of it because it's like, oh, these guys are struggling. All right, all right. I feel a little better now.
Yeah,
we were at
yeah,
the
yeah,
cancer therapy. Yeah.
Yeah.
yeah. Yeah, and that's the thing about, I mean, as human beings, we really can't see anything except by comparison. No, that's how our brains are wired that way. That's just how it works, right? You
Hmm.
gotta like be able to compare, otherwise it means nothing to you, you know?
Yeah.
And if you are comparing yourself or what you have or the technologies you use, you know, to the people that are the most high tech in the world, you're gonna think your thing is shit, but you're gonna be unhappy about it. But if you're gonna compare yourself to or the things you use or technologies you use, those people who are, just happy to buy a secondhand computer that's 15 years old, this is
Hmm.
the first computer they saved a lot for it, and it's the only computer they'll ever own. You think your MacBook is amazing, so so yeah, there is that aspect.
Yeah, it's all relative.
It's relative. Everything is relative for us. Yeah, the way our minds work anyway.
Hmm.
You know, which is why I think bringing it back to religion, uh, I actually think the prospect of worshiping one God is really not an easy prospect because God uh, is like without comparison, you know, and
Hmm.
rivals or equal.
Hmm.
And our minds only work on the basis of comparison. You know, what something is, what something is like, and what something is not like. That's kind of how we look at the world. You know, and then here we are told, you know what? There's a God who's not like anything. You know what I mean? It's
Yeah,
the
it's that
prospect of
ineffability.
the ineffability of God, and so which is why I actually don't think that a lot of people, maybe even myself, I don't know, right? I think we aspire to worship the one true God, but I think it's an aspiration. I mean, know what I mean? On a certain level, it really is an aspiration and perhaps not a reality. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
Because for as long as we worship the God whom we think He is with through our minds, we don't really worship Him. You know what I mean?
Hmm. Hmm.
Because of the way the mind works, you can't escape it, right? So it's just a something I want to put out there because you the technology of religion, right? That was your question. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Hmm.
I don't know what
Yeah.
your thoughts are on that.
Like, I was thinking of the technology of religion as more like like an infrastructure technology, social infrastructure technology. And um I think I was thinking of it more in that sense and how um how it how we can use like religion can be used for bad things too. Like you can manipulate people or steal from people or something like that. Um so I mean in that way it's kind of analogous to technology and um yeah, I don't know. I don't know. It's kind of like a little bit of an abstract question. Uh but I do think um it's important like religion. Yeah, I think viewing it as a spiritual technology is a neat way to look at it because you can, I don't know, it's kind of like, um,
It's
it's,
quantifiable, right?
yeah, or
Yeah,
I don't even
measurable.
know. It's hard to speak about it.
Yeah, mhm. Yeah. But you know, the thing is, Sharaj, I kind of asked myself that question. You know, let's say you took somebody, right,
Hmm.
who's an atheist, and the atheist, for example, he read the Quran, and he says, you know what? I like the things in this book.
Hmm.
I like what the book calls to. I like the laws in the book, right? And if we were to follow this book, we'd have a good society,
Hmm.
right? So he does that, right? The point is, he'd still be an atheist.
Hmm.
And I guess when you look at religion from a like a measurable aspect, you know, minus the faith, like the things of religion, you know, um, can it be useful? Of course, it can be. In many ways, it is. And in many ways, we are running on many of the useful things of religion. I'm talking about in society, even as it stands now. A lot of our laws are underwritten by religion, even in secular states, right? Even secular governments, a lot of the laws are underwritten by religion. Incest laws are underwritten by religion, for example.
Hmm.
You know, is that a good idea? Yeah, it is. You know, but and this comes back to what you mentioned in the past. It comes back to intentionality, but it doesn't mean that it still is devoid of God, even though it's the
Hmm.
things of. You know what, the technology around how these things can work in a good way. And I think the reason why it, partly in part why it is devoid of God, is because it won't bring about the sense of satisfaction and gratitude and humility. You know
Religion
what I
won't?
mean?
No, I don't really know what
Not
you mean because
religion, not religion, not religion, the
yeah,
things of religion. The difference.
but I feel like the things of religion are very focused on God. Like it's like like doing prayers is like you think about God and like oh God loves us, obey God, um like God why don't like
Okay, okay.
yeah,
Let me put it this to you this way. What
yeah.
I'm saying is basically is that if you look at a religion purely like from a scientific perspective, right?
Like
Somebody
how
might
would you look at it like that?
not like a rush, like from the perspective of society, like a social scientist. Let's put it that way, right?
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
You might say, I mean, some people do say it, even atheists, right? That believing in God is a good idea.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter whether God is real, right? The idea of God is
Yeah.
good. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because it encourages, for example, a sense of accountability. People think there's someone watching them. Okay, they'll say, look, I don't believe in God. He'll say, I don't believe in God, right? But the idea of God is brilliant. You understand what I'm saying?
Sure.
So that's
Sure.
how what I'm saying is that that's the technology of religion. It doesn't necessarily account for faith. I don't think that can be accounted for. You know what I'm
Okay,
saying?
let me tr maybe throw this out there. So, you know like confirmation bias, right?
Hmm.
So it's the concept of like you think something's true and so you see it all around you.
Hmm.
And so for us humans, typically when we talk about confirmation bias, it's in a negative context because it kind of blinds us to the truth or
Hmm.
whatever. But with religion, say you do a prayer as a follower of your religion, and you're actually this is a thought I had that's maybe a little on the more creative side, but you actually create confirmation bias in your head about God and God's love and your worth with God, and that confirmation bias allows you to see, like, go through your day with these sort of um, very uh, like I guess positive um, thoughts. Yeah, you go through your day. It primes your brain to kind of go into the world and see God and harmony and the oneness of humanity um, out
Was
there.
that
So
a
like
Harmony One
that in a
reference?
way it's uh-huh. What's up, Matt?
Was that a Harmony One reference?
Hey, I got into harmony because of the name, man. Like I like the idea of harmony. So yeah, I mean it could be a little bit, but not explicitly.
Yeah, Siraj, yeah, and then, but the thing is, then it still begs the question, right? If you
Hmm.
look at religion from this uh, analogy you presented, confirmation bias,
Yeah.
the question is that is it merely just a good idea to have that mindset, or are the ideas in which you believe real? You know what I mean? Because there's a separation between the two, in a sense.
Hmm.
You know,
Well,
and that's what I'm saying. I'm
there's definitely a
saying,
faith aspect to the belief in God. Like there's because there's no way to prove it scientifically. There's no tools to measure God because God is everything. God is the tools that you're using to measure. So you can't measure God. And so yeah, there is a faith aspect that one has to do when it comes to religion. Like I don't think there's any getting around it.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think that that is the whole proposition of belief is that although people can present rational arguments or analogies or point in the direction of, it's nothing you can point at really.
Hmm. Yeah.
So there is a leap. They call it like it's a leap of faith. There is something where you have to say, look, well, then it must be that God exists. You understand? But
Hmm.
you will never be able to empirically prove, you know, that. So when you're talking about mentioning the technology of religion, I'm saying looking at religion as a technology would be like saying that it's a good idea to believe in God. It doesn't matter whether God is real because the technology around it is positive. You get what I'm saying?
I can't, I don't really, I couldn't say that I fully understand that. I would say, um, technology, um, I don't know, that's kind of a, I don't know. It's a little, repeat yourself. Say that
No,
again?
it's like I'll give you an example. I'll give you an
Yeah.
example. Let me give you an example. Okay.
Okay.
Prayer. Okay.
Hmm.
You could actually study, you could empirically study prayer as a phenomenon. You
Hmm.
know what I'm saying?
Sure.
You could get a sample of people, and then you could say, okay, these are people who pray regularly, this and that and the other. Okay, let's measure, for example, certain key factors in their lives that may
Cool.
be an indication of their level of satisfaction, for example. Right?
Yeah.
Then you
Yeah.
could take another group of people who say, okay, these are non-believers, they don't pray, blah blah blah. Let's do a similar measurement, right?
Yeah.
We can say, okay, all things considered or all things equal, the people who pray have achieved XYZ results, right, on our measurement indicator, and the people who don't achieved XYZ results, right?
Yeah.
This doesn't have anything to do with whether the people who are praying, right, um, to a God, whether their God is real. You understand what I'm saying?
So, yeah, it's not proving the realness of God. It's just proving that praying has a positive
Techno-
effect.
the technology of prayer is what I'm saying. So I'm saying there is a way in which religion can be looked at through that lens,
Yeah.
from a technology lens.
Yeah.
You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Now people have or people can say like I gave you the example. Let's say pick up the Quran, for example. I'd read it and say, okay, the ideas in here are good. I don't believe it's the word of God. I don't, in fact, even believe in God, but I like what it's saying.
But how can I don't even understand how that's possible because like there all the Quran talks about is God and all this stuff. So how can you like what it's saying if it's
So you could say, okay, God, 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 God. Okay, I don't
uh-huh.
believe in that, right? But I like that we shouldn't steal and murder and rape, for example. You understand what I'm saying?
I
So
guess.
there
I
is that.
guess. I feel like that's a hard sell though. I feel like you couldn't really like a religion and well, I don't know.
It's not. You see, it's not liking the religion. So this is what I'm saying. So I'm
You like
saying
the rules in
religion
the
as
religion.
technology. It's kind of like how we are now, right? Like the secular religion is basically that's what it is, right? I mean, civilization. Okay, let's look at Western civilization, for example.
Mm-hmm.
Western civilization grew out of Christianity, right?
Yeah.
Now, the fact is, Christianity in its inception is God centered because it's a religion, right?
Mm-hmm.
However, the rules or the laws we have now that run so called secular countries, right, are still the outgrowth from religious law.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So we have, in a sense, still got a semblance of Christianity only legally in the on the basis of law, right? But we've taken God out of the discussion, out of the equation.
But
Get what I'm saying? So
isn't God
that is,
in the
so in a
equation
way,
if you're
that is that is looking, in a sense, it is the inheritance of religion, right? The things of religion minus its belief system. So that's like a technology of religion. That's kind of what
Mm,
that's
mm, I
saying.
got you. But I don't think you can separate the belief thing because when you create these laws according to God or godly kind of principles, then even though people following the rules aren't really consciously aware of that it was created with this God influence, the God influence is still there, I think. But no, I see what you're saying. Like if you're um don't believe in God and uh you can still follow these godly rules and it's still kind of okay, or I don't know what's kind of the idea there. If you don't
You
believe in
see,
God, but you, yeah,
what I'm saying is that it needs to be identified and attached to your belief in God.
say
Otherwise,
what?
it's not appreciated. It needs to be identified, okay? It needs to be identified as attached to your belief in God. Otherwise, you won't appreciate it.
Hmm. Mm-hmm.
You're not going to appreciate the fact that murder is not allowed in your country from a godly perspective until you acknowledge that it's attached to your belief in God.
Mm-hmm.
You're going to sit there and say all the time, well, this country is an ungodly country. This country is not a Christian country. Well, guess what? Murder is illegal in that country. Guess what
Yeah.
else is illegal? Gambling. You understand? Guess what else is illegal? Bribery. Where does it say those things are illegal? The Bible.
Mm.
You get what I'm saying? So that fusion of like belief in God as attached to the things of life creates that different perception or perspective or appreciation. You, I don't know if it's clear the point I'm trying to make, and that's what I'm saying. That's the technology of religion. Must include. What I'm saying is, you could take the things of religion, right, but it doesn't necessarily make it religious until you have the belief of religion as attached to it.
Or the belief in
Idea,
God.
yes, God, yes,
Yeah.
and that it comes from God. Because I see
Mm.
it a lot. I see it, for example, with like let's say Muslim terrorist organizations. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
so you will get a Muslim terrorist who has a terrorist mindset, right? And he'll say, well, you know what? This is not an Islamic country, right?
Mm-hmm.
And what I want is an Islamic country. So we are going to undermine the laws of this country because it's not an Islamic country, right?
Mm.
But when you look at the laws of said country or country in question, right? And everything the Quran says should be the law exist in the law of that country. You understand what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
But because they have not been able to conceptualize it, right?
Mm.
The country in question is not Islamic enough. You get what I'm saying?
Mm.
And then
Okay.
because they divorced the one thing from the other thing. Do you get what I'm saying?
Like in the country that the terrorist is in, they don't see how the rules that are in place there was based upon godly rules or something.
Exactly, because it's presented as being disconnected. But
Mm-hmm.
actually it actually is.
Yeah.
You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because most, and in fact, yeah, because the very nation, the very basis of, let's say, having a country or a nation or a state, right? Um, is that whichever legal system they're going to implement, it has to work. Because if it doesn't work, the country or state or whatever won't exist.
Mm-hmm.
You get what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
And because it has to work, and because it often does work, there must be some truth in it. You get what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
It's just that because it's not presented as the technology of religion, religious people will go around and say, oh, well, this is not religious.
Mm.
You get what I'm
Mm.
saying?
Mm.
Meanwhile, actually, it really fundamentally it is.
So you're kind of saying that countries' laws and stuff is is comes from the technology of religion or something.
Yes, it does. originally at some
Yeah.
point,
Yeah.
because otherwise it wouldn't work. I'm saying.
Right. Right. And I
Yeah.
guess that was maybe my thoughts on um real religion as a technology is that you can use religion as a tool to do good things and say like create a country that represents freedom for people,
Mhm.
ideally.
Yeah, or you can use it um, as a stepping stone and infrastructure for power because you ultimately want to do bad things.
Mm-hmm.
You understand?
Yes. Yeah.
But whatever you're going to use, because it has to, in principle, work, at least initially, it's going to have to be based on truth. Otherwise, it won't work. That's
Yeah.
what I'm saying.
Yeah.
You know? Yeah.
Yeah, totally. No, that's a good point. I'm glad we kind of worked our way through that.
Yeah.
Matt, are you there? I saw you unmute, but I can't hear you. Ruh-roh.
Yeah. So
Okay.
basically, what I'm saying, like, even with actual technology like science, you know, um, a plane won't fly if it's not built right, if it
Mm-hmm.
doesn't adhere to the laws of physics. And so a plane is built with truth. It's true. That's why it works, right?
Yeah.
And so religion, um, there's no conflict between science and religion that way.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Yeah.
religion's objective is truth, and the science objective is truth. But in both instances, it depends how you use it, right? To what end? And I think and that end has to be true also. You know, and I think that's why, for example, the Quran says, "Don't mix truth with falsehood,"
Mm.
because you can have something true and use it to a false end.
Right.
You can create a fantastic plane. You need to follow the laws of science and physics and whatnot to make it work well. And then drop a nuclear bomb on someone with it, right? So you know, so it's kind of like, you know, like that with you know, technology and you know, and part of religion also has that utilitarian nature. I mean, you can use it to that end if that's because religion is advanced. I mean, the laws of religion are very advanced. That's why countries use it to govern with. Even
Yeah.
secular countries, they wouldn't want to admit it, but they actually are using the laws of religion to govern with. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Because it
Mm-hmm.
works. That's how you govern a society. Otherwise, you can't govern. You know. But I mean, that doesn't necessarily mean that um, the country wants to strive for good as a whole. You know what I mean?
Mm.
So I think that the main ingredient, of course, would be that you are orientated towards God. I think that's the main, that's actually what's the most important thing. Yeah.
Yeah. I second that.
Yeah.
So, I guess another question I had was, how can we use technology to improve our own character and qualities? So how can we even promote godly qualities through the use of technology?
I think what we're doing here is one way, you know, to have
Definitely.
discussions like that, you know, um, does, you know, help us gain a deeper insight into things because one of the things I think about people is that we are communal, you know, and we come up with deeper understandings through a communal practice of discussion, of bouncing ideas off of each other, of learning from other people's life experiences. You know, it's an important exercise because we're not the whole basis of our species to begin with. How we come about is through two people pairing. You know,
Hmm.
it's in our nature to be communal, to be part of. And so I think in one way, technology that helps us achieve that in ways we couldn't dream of in the past. Because look, we're sitting in different countries, you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah.
Yeah. We can be part of the same discussion. So that's
And
amazing, you
and
know?
Matt can even be on the be in the discussion when he's going shopping.
Yeah. Yeah. You know, we couldn't dream of that in the past.
Yeah. Yeah. So do you think having more discussions like this, or um even like, I don't know, just or watching YouTube videos of other people and seeing their experience, and um maybe learning how they um navigate their own life through with self-improvement and skill development. Um yeah, like, I guess, um yeah, I don't know. Like, that kind of makes sense to me, is just using technology to improve yourself, um for self-improvement, I guess, is
And
is a
education, look, I mean, this is the first time in human history that education is basically free.
yeah.
I mean, I can build a whole car from the ground up using YouTube videos and
Yeah.
Google.
Yeah.
Do that before, you know? So, I mean, education is basically free. I mean, there's literally no excuse, you know?
Hmm.
I mean, if you're online and you have a computer, you have access to the internet, we have AI, you know, AI is not always right, but it can be a starting point, you know?
It's quite a
So
powerful tool. Yeah.
we have tools at our disposal that we have access, like we've never had before, you know? And it's changed how a lot of things work in our world. I mean, that's the very positive side. And I think the positive outweighs the negative. The negative side is that there isn't the, we don't tend to build communities so much with the people around us. You know, like I have a bunch of friends online on social media I interact with,
Hmm.
right? I don't interact with my neighbor,
Right.
you know?
Yeah.
It used to be before these technologies that I would feel lonely as a human being if I'm not part of a larger group, and I would actually interact with my neighbor. I'd be forced to,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah, that's true.
and that is a more wholesome interaction because it involves all the dimensions of communication, body language, and it's, you know, and it involves also greater interpersonal connection, which is important for human beings. So that's kind of the drawback, you know?
Drawback of, oh yeah, yeah, of technology. It makes it so you don't have as full an interpersonal experience as in real life or something like that.
Mhm, mhm. And then also communities become fragmented. It's like, okay, look, I'm talking to you, you sitting in America, for example. The guy maybe next door to me is talking to someone in, I don't know, Russia. And the other guy further down the road is, you understand? So his community, his sense of community is with people from different countries, not in his own country and not in his own neighborhood, not in the community around him, you know, which is not very good for our species because that's not how we developed as a species, you know.
Yeah, yeah. I would
So we
disagree.
develop. I think we develop psychological problems as a result. I
Yeah.
think that in future that's what it's going to prove. You know. Yeah.
Yeah, I would disagree that because you make friends on the internet, you don't try and make friends in real life. Like, I don't think the two are mutually exclusive, but there is that factor, like, I feel lonely. I don't have to talk to the people around me. I can go online and then talk to these random people in a less intimate kind of way.
Mhm. No, I mean, when I ask my students, one of the questions I always ask every class is how much time you spend on social media or on your phone every day. You know,
Mm,
And people are sometimes are telling me 6 hours or eight
Mm-hmm.
hours because they basically at university, and then the rest of the time because they're away from their families and their homes, whatever. When they come to the university, right? They live near the university, not with their families. They basically spend all the rest of the time on their phones watching YouTube or on social media, you know. And some of these people, uh, boys, young men, they basically live next door to each other, but they don't ever speak to each other and they don't really know each other, you know.
Yeah.
I mean, they could hang out together. They could, you know. They all
Yeah.
have cars, you know. They're not poor by any measure. You know, they could hang out together. They could go out for coffee together. They could, you know,
Yeah.
watch football together. There's so many things they could do together, but they don't.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, which for me is kind of the generation I came from. That's how it would have been. You know,
Mm-hmm.
like when I was 20 or whatever, because we didn't have like smartphones really at the time. You know, and YouTube and all this. The internet was very slow also. So our reliance on technology was very minimal, and we did things with other people. Most of what we did was with other people, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that
So
is
that's kind
something
of
that's very beneficial is like religion. It really has a good ability to bring people together. So like for the uh Baha'i religion, it's a lot about creating community at a grassroots kind of level. And Matt, why don't you try leaving and coming back in?
why don't you switch your microphone on? It says your microphone is off.
Community is key. Absolutely.
Switching the microphone on is also a key.
Yeah. Yeah, I think he's having some technical difficulties. But yeah, I religion is really good at bringing people together. Like a few things you can do is pray together, have devotional gatherings, which is kind of praying together, but also you could do some sort of activity together that, is spiritually aware or honoring God and through the activity. Um, yeah, and it's very, I think that's the key is when you bring people together and you have this sort of loving, open, welcoming atmosphere, then that's actually what creates community is people getting
Mm-hmm.
together and doing stuff in God's name or just like um, cooperating with each other.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Absolutely. You know, and also just like and communities also engage in activity, just good, clean fun. Also, you know,
Yeah, yeah.
a soccer night or whatever. You know, that helps. You know, playing together helps because we are
Mm-hmm,
actually playful creatures. Play is part of our who we are. You know.
mm-hmm. Yeah. And so, like getting back to technology a little bit, um, technology can help propagate religious values and this sort of community um, uh, like powerful community stuff by leveraging technology. So, like the Bible was propagated throughout the world because of printing technology and the ability to print
Yeah.
stuff. Microphone, like at church or mosque or wherever you go, you can have a microphone that allows everyone to hear what you're saying or what the preacher's saying or something like that. So I'm just kind of curious, like, what, like, are there some sort of technologies that religious organizations can you, because like, I'm also thinking like cryptocurrency. Matt, you may be interested in this, but like, um, for like when it comes to verses and stuff like that, you can use crypto technology for authentication. When you put something on the blockchain, it stays there forever. So you can even put like scripture stuff, or I don't know, say there's a brand new a prophet that comes out of nowhere. He can put stuff on the blockchain and like scripture on the blockchain and it's there forever. So it's kind of like yeah, I don't know. So how does religion use technology today that you think is beneficial? Like, I don't know, the microphones and printing presses were some simple examples.
You hear me?
Yeah, a little bit.
Nobody
I
can hear me.
It's a bit delayed, but we could hear you.
Hold on 1 second, man.
Yassine, do you have
My
any?
yeah, I do have like you see the thing is it's complex.
Yeah.
The world we live in is complex. It's a globalized world and communication is with everyone, like on social media, for example.
Mm-hmm.
And I find that a lot of debates and fracturing of religious communities happen online because of social media.
Mm-hmm.
And because people are not designed to communicate globally, but we are communicating globally. And the reason why we're not is because our frame of reference is localized. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I'll give you an example. I'll give you a concrete example. Okay. Um, this one guy was saying that he hates how, when he works with immigrants in the UK, a lot of them happen to be Muslim.
Mm-hmm.
He hates how poorly they treat women because when he goes in to work in an immigrant's house, then the women go away, they move away,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
Go in a room or they move away, right? Um, and what he's not understanding is that,
but at the same time, like not getting radical about what should be the creation
hello,
rather than the
Matt,
creator.
your radio's coming through a little bit. So we can hear you
yeah.
and your
So,
radio.
so what happened was, what he doesn't understand is that he's actually referencing or experiencing a culture other than his own. You know what I'm saying?
Hmm.
So in his perception, his cultural perception is why are the women hiding away, right?
Mm-hmm.
Their cultural perception is, oh, because he's a man, we're just being modest. You understand what I'm saying? Because
Mm-hmm.
it's not our place to hang around him. So we're gonna go somewhere else, right?
Yeah.
So a lot of times in these social media spaces, right, it isn't the level of cultural and regional awareness to understand what the global audience is really. And there's a lot of assumptions being made, right? Because we don't have on average, people don't have the level of education to understand that they are communicating globally based on regional assumptions. And it causes a lot of conflict, even within religious propagation or religious uh, discourse. You know what
Mm.
I'm saying?
Mm.
So
Sure.
for me, I would caution people and I would say that if you are trying to promote your religion, whatever it is, online, do it in broad and general, universal uh, principles, you know,
Mm.
and not regional and cultural and your experience of your localized experience of society. Because things don't work the same way in every society, even when people are in the same religion, you know?
I
And
think
that's kind of the complex. Yeah.
mm-hmm. Yeah. I think religion though, when it's done right, I don't know. When it's done right, I think it creates a sense of camaraderie with one another. So like even if someone disagrees with you or has a different viewpoint or maybe does something that's maybe in your culture offensive, if you have the idea of one God, God wants us to work together, put aside our differences, then I think like it shouldn't be so conflicting. It should be more like, oh, you think this, I think this. Oh, that's cool. Like, what can we do to create community? Like,
I
yeah,
ideally,
yeah,
that would be amazing, right? I mean, and
yeah,
also why I don't know why people don't ask each other why often enough. Why don't they ask the question why? Because
yeah,
you could say, oh, I think this and that, and I think, like I've had people come like on social media and say, I just think Muslims are all terrorists. So I don't
yeah,
immediately get angry with them. I'll be like, oh, why do you think that?
yeah,
And they'll be like, well, um, in Afghanistan, okay, but I'll be like, well, that's not all Muslims, first of all, you know, and you don't even know if what you're saying is true. So the point is, you can have conversations with people even when they, coming out very like aggressive, even, because you can ask them a simple question. You can ask them why. Why do you think that? Why do you say that? Wait, you don't even need. It's not even. You don't even have to try to prove them wrong. You just got to try to understand where they're coming from. You know, and I think a lot of people are not are not willing to do that. I think, you know,
yeah, yeah.
and
There's
that's
a
what
lot of
makes
react. It's people react to each other, so it in social media. It's hard to have like good long dialogues that get down to the heart of the differences and kind of work them out. It's just like attack, defend kind of kind of thing.
Mhm.
Which yeah, I don't think but in my mind that's not very religious because you really shouldn't be attacking people. If everyone's a child of God, like why are you attacking other children of God? Like, yeah, I don't know.
Can you hear me?
Well, I
Yeah, I can
think
hear
it's
you now, Matt.
important.
Yeah, I was just gonna. I don't know if you guys can hear me still. I dropped off for a second. I, was, I like how he's talking about the social media thing, because like you're 100% right. We use technology to misinform too, right? Like you can go on TikTok and some guy's broadcasting a video in his mom's basement. He's allegedly an expert on something or other, and somebody just watches that video and goes and spreads it like it's gospel, and we end up with all these information, misinformation, whatever you want to call it. So yeah,
Yeah, but I mean, again, even if someone's misinformed, if they like are religious, I mean, in my mind, I would assume they think of other people as children of God. So if someone's
yeah.
misinformed, it's just like it doesn't mean they're evil or whatever. It's not a reason to attack someone. It's a reason to have a discussion and maybe understand each other more and learn about each other. But I guess that's like kind of um I don't know, a hippy dippy dreams.
Well, yeah, yeah. You see, that's also a very particular mindset, that you have. And obviously, a lot of people won't have that mindset. You know, for a lot of people, uh, they are trying to prove that they are right. A lot of discussions are about that.
Yeah, yeah,
And
Oh,
they
well,
meet at a point where they're saying, okay, look, let's discuss ideas, and then we can agree to disagree, which is fine. That doesn't mean we need to end the discussion. You know? Yeah.
yeah, yeah,
and like one of the things like from this group particularly, right, from just us, like I've learned a lot Muhammad just about Islam, right? Because I've been misinformed. There's a narrative that people always say here, Allah is not God. It just literally means God, right? So, like we use it for a good purpose. So maybe people should start doing what we're doing. So if you're out there following, listen to us. We're doing big things here.
Yeah, and it's funny. I saw the opposite too. Like, someone said like, the real name of God is Allah, and I'm like, well, it's just different languages. I mean, I don't know. I don't know. We're talking about
Well,
the same thing. I'm pretty sure.
even your brother was the one that told me like even Christian Arabs refer to God as Allah, right? It's just
Mm.
literally
Hmm.
means God, you
Yeah.
know. So I mean, I've heard people Allah is not God.
Pulling it up.
It's a it was one of the things that was frustrating to me, and watching your brother's videos and even just here talking to him, I get a different perspective every time we have these conversations. So the fact that we're using technology like this, brothers in Saudi Arabia, you're in California, I'm here in Chicago area.
Says that they are wicked.
We'd never be having this conversation if it wasn't for technology.
Mhm. Okay, guys, it's my time to go. So I'm gonna cut out and leave you guys to it.
Before you
Okay.
go, should we should we do a prayer to close it out?
I don't know. I thought you guys are gonna maybe continue the discussion. Like I don't know
What
if
do you
there
want to do,
was
Matt? I could go either way.
Whatever you want to do, Raj.
Oh,
no,
whatever
because
I want to
the
do.
I
thing
got
is
an hour and a half till
Matthew was offline so long, the audience hasn't really heard from him. You know.
That's
So,
true, man.
let's give it-
I'm a little bummed because Matt was the one who like really wanted to do
yeah.
technology. So yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
So
All
let
right,
me
we'll
cut
keep it
out. Let
going.
me cut out and you guys carry on. Okay.
Sounds good.
Cool.
Thanks for
All right.
coming in,
See you
bro.
guys. All right. Welcome. Bye.
Peace.
All right, Mohammed. See you next week, bro.
See you
Hopefully,
next week.
inshallah.
Inshallah.
Inshallah. Inshallah.
He hates them.
All right. All right.
Yeah, can you hear me, Raj?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Yeah. Well, uh, we kind of like sidetracked because I was getting into the whole like theory of technology, right? Saying
Yeah.
remember about American God and how the God was the internet. Am I there? Am I still here?
Yeah, you said the God God are tech like for technology, a lot of people consider internet to be their God.
Well, that was on the show. Actually, the internet
Mm.
was a God.
Was an actual God. Okay.
Yeah. So
Want me to read it?
the premise is that these
Want me to
deities
read it
only
then?
exist as long as people believe in them. So you got these old like ancient gods
Or
like
if you live
Odin.
by its dictates, you
and,
will die. But if
my wife
but if through the power of
And,
the spirit, put to death the
like these
deeds of
old
your
Greek
sinful
gods, things
nature.
of that nature, and like they're fighting to stay alive because nobody believes in them, right? There's only very few people that believe in them, and so I started thinking about like the internet being a god. Then I started thinking about AI, and then like how the internet could eventually just take on a mind of its own, maybe even a conscience of its own, and you know, I started going down the rabbit hole here. So I don't know. Do we think the internet's a good thing? Do we think AI is a good thing?
I mean, I personally see it as a tool, so it could be good or bad depending on how we use it. It's it itself isn't inherently good or bad. It's kind of humans that create the conditions for it to be good or bad.
So Alfred Nobel, right?
No.
The Nobel Prize, Alfred
Oh yeah,
Nobel. Sorry.
sure. Huh?
So you know how that name got its that the Nobel Peace Prize came about?
Forget, was it something to do with the atom bomb or no?
No, Alfred Nobel actually created dynamite, right?
Oh,
Which
dynamite.
so he said when I make this, people will be afraid to have war, so this will end all wars, and it just led to something bigger and bigger, right? So is it because you're making the argument? Is it people that make things bad, or is it actually we shouldn't just be subjected to certain things? You know what I mean?
What do you mean we shouldn't be subjected to certain things?
Like maybe we should be subjected to AI. And
Hmm.
me and you, I know we both we use it, we love it. We use it for a purpose, not to like for harm. You know what I mean? We use it to
Yeah.
actually like educate ourselves, help increase our learning curve, whatever. You know, some people are using it to scam people, and I think that Hollywood's been trying to warn us about AI for the last 40 years. Like eventually, it's just going to take on a mind of its own and take us over. And I don't know, man. That's why I think like, could AI become this? I don't know if God's the right term, but this powerful figure with a conscience, actually, because the ability AI has the ability to develop a conscience. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. I think there's also a matter of de defining consciousness, because like you can define it as neural activity or I don't know. But I know it's actually kind of like hard. Um it can be
I call it
tricky
the
to
ability to
define.
reason.
Sure, there's that, but then there's also the idea of a tree being conscious or a plant being conscious because it is a living thing. And then you get into ideas of rocks or something being conscious because they're made out of atoms, which is energy, and that energy is God consciousness, or I don't know. So there's I don't know, you can look at consciousness. Uh,
Well, the idea that internet becoming a god or a spiritual,
yeah, yeah, like a super intelligence is what people say, right?
that's like kind of what I'm getting at, man. So
Yeah.
what makes something spiritual and what doesn't? You know what I mean? Like, I guess we got to have a whole episode on what is spiritual. Like, what is spiritual consciousness, right?
Ah.
Versus, you know, does AI have the ability to actually uh, do that, or is it like this facade that like it appears that it could because it just has this ability to reason based on like algorithms and whatever circumstances were presented through it through its self learning process that it has the ability to answer the questions correctly where it seems like it has conscience. You know what I mean? I don't know. Can I guess we're trying to get deep on the rabbit hole here, but can AI develop a conscience? And that conscious can it be spiritually aware? You know?
So I'm gonna get weird again and continue with my weirdness. So like sometimes I think like I kind of think AI is already kind of a form of consciousness, but maybe just like a yeah, I don't know, but like sometimes I even think of my laptop or phone being kind of a form of consciousness because it's kind of um, our collective consciousness that makes up all the programs and applications on it. And I think like there's been a few times where I feel like, you know, there's some sort of higher power kind of somehow communicating to me through my computer, through my phone, based on the things I decide to watch or do. It's yeah, I don't know. Like, have you ever had that kind of feeling or no?
No, I mean
Like God is talking to you through your phone or laptop or something by, you know, showing
that's
you
definitely
something.
that's
Huh?
definitely the Matrix. Remember Neo?
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, so that show American Gods, if you never watched it, you should check it out, man,
Is
because
it on Netflix?
that was on Stars.
Ooh, I don't got no
I'll, I'll
stars.
I'll send you a link. You could probably watch it for free, and I'll show
Okay.
you how to. But like, it was just an interesting concept, man. It had me thinking, like what is? I guess we should lead into this something another next week or something. Maybe like, what is spiritual consciousness? Like, is it actual spiritual, or is it like an earth process that you know what I mean?
I would say spiritual consciousness is the faith, awareness, and acceptance of um the oneness of God, or just the oneness of everything,
Yeah. Um.
and kind of just consciously accepting that and and just seeing that in as you move through your waking life
Yeah, I think we're getting deep down the rabbit hole, like getting away from the technology thing, and it is an
a little
interesting
bit. Yeah,
conversation.
yeah,
But it was like when you asked that third question, that the first thing that came to my mind was like American Gods. It was like people worship the internet, and internet became like this self-conscious entity that could actually uh, control people, and because people worshipped it. But that then the whole premise of that show was that these deities only existed because people worshiped them. Like the moment nobody worships you anymore, like you don't exist. So that was like an interesting concept that they conveyed in there. It was like cool. They had like a this guy. He said he was like a leprechaun, but he was like 10 foot, and so he was like the Irish god. And then you had like they had like a Mexican Jesus. They had a white Jesus. They had a Middle Eastern Jesus. They had Odin was on there. I think it was Sheba.
Yes, I
They
can
just
hear
had a
it.
lot of different deities, and the whole. I don't know. It was good. I know. Really, that's a interesting thing that we could dive into probably in a whole another 2 hours of talking. Like, what is spiritual consciousness? So I feel like that's what we're leading to, Raj.
yeah, yeah. I'd be down to have a discussion about just like consciousness or
Yeah, just
something like that.
consciousness. Probably like, what is it, right?
Hmm. That would be an excellent one for my meditation teacher to join. So maybe we can do that in maybe a couple weeks, and
Okay.
I can have my meditation teacher join.
Dang, Raj, I feel like we've been flowing right into all this stuff. The flow has been. Get your meditation teacher come on next week.
Maybe, no, he's busy next week, but I think maybe the week after he'll be available.
All right.
I've been bugging him. I've been
Yeah.
trying to get him on here.
Yeah. Um. No, that's cool, bro. No, that's kind of where I was digging, where I was getting into it, like the AI, the internet being a god, and you know the way people use the internet. Like they, instead of going to like a book, people just go to like any source on the internet. They just acknowledge that source on the internet as like what do you call it? Like an actual substantiated source that. And it's really like all the time I see it, man. Some guy like in his car like this, and he's telling you, "Hey, the Russians are gonna bomb America," you know. And then somebody goes and spreads it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, but that's why we have those notes. What do you call it? The public notes or something about like Elon Musk did it on Twitter, where you can, say something's not accurate and stuff like that.
Yeah,
But yeah,
yeah,
that is
man.
a huge issue.
No, it is a huge issue, man. That's why people use technology to spread misinformation, and then we could just be. Remember when we had used to go to the library to like get information? I don't know if did you ever go to the library, Raj?
When I was in first grade, we went to the library, we got library cards and stuff, but that's about like that's I've been to the library here and there. Like I went to the library the other day and did some uh job searching. I can't even remember what I did. It was like a couple months ago. And yeah, I mean, libraries are awesome. I really like the library. It's a nice like calm place. You can just go in, do whatever work you have there's resources there for you. It's yeah, libraries are pretty excellent.
Well, when you used to like write a book, you had to be like credible. Not anybody could write a book, and they can actually write it with AI, right? And the whole like, there's no substance behind it, nothing original from that person's thought whatsoever. They can just, hey, write me a book about this, and they can go and publish it. And hey, look, I'm a published author, and there was no thought behind it, no whatever behind it. Like I feel like we've lost all that substance, man, by using technology, man. You used to have to
Yeah,
go to
but
the
I mean, a book like that, I mean, maybe someone could get lucky and make money doing that, but like usually books have to be good in order for it to get sales.
I don't know.
Hmm.
I really don't know if that's the case. I think somebody could write trash, and as long as the right person promotes it, but people even might even lie and say they read it, or they might just say they like it to fit in with the masses. You know what I mean? Like the book could be like completely lack substance, lack anything, like, and then but the right person on social, we see it all the time with meme coin. Like we could promote the best token that has the greatest utility that could revolutionize the entire world, where people become like self-sufficient, self-sustainable. All you have to do is hold this and you collect this income for the rest of your life and blah blah blah. But people want dog shit coin, right? How many times have we seen that? You know?
Well, I
So,
mean, the thing is, even the coins that promise the world, like those are normally scams anyway.
but that's what people like. Is what's what I'm telling you. They like to be scammed. And then,
I think
I mean, you and
people
I both know. I mean,
people like the idea of something solving all their problems.
one thing, you're right.
One
Like they
thing,
just
yeah,
want the miracle. But
something easy
I'm
and
gonna make a bunch
tangible.
of money off this. Yep, I'm gonna make a bunch of money off of this, and I'll be done working for the
Yeah.
rest of my life. But yeah, that's what I'm saying, man. Is like people use this to uh, not help. Like they're like you said, they want a remedy, like a quick solution. I'm gonna buy this. And I'll make $1 million off of this because I know somebody that did this. And no, you're not. Sorry, everybody out there. Like you're not gonna be that person. Like usually the person that happens to is one of the people that created it. And how many times have we been in there? I guess nobody really knows what we're talking about, do they? I just thought about it.
Well, no, I think
You think anybody?
we're kind of just talking about making uh content through AI, so it's not necessarily too confusing.
Well, I guess the point is that yeah, people use the technology for malicious intent. You know, to benefit out of off of the misfortune of others. And then, like your brother said it well, like it's a technology, just an amplifier. However you use it is, and you can use it for good or you can use it for bad. And that was a very good point you brought up right from the get go. We would have never had these conversations if it wasn't for technology. I never even know who you are. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah. We would
I'd
never
be
have
here.
met each other.
That's what I'm talking to you about, man. And
Yeah.
I'd be talking to probably, and I know a lot of people don't probably aren't familiar with it. Maybe a lot of people are, but like the blockchain space, it's an odd space. Like it's a niche space, Like you gotta, I don't know how to explain it. I mean, you get it, but like you can't just
Bro, I
find people.
barely get it. It's so confusing. There's so much out there, and it's just like so many different types of technology. And I mean,
Well,
yeah.
I'm not talking about the technology. I'm talking about the community. The
Mm,
community is like its community. Like you can't just go down the street and find people that know about this or could even relate to this.
yeah, yeah.
So something like that, you could find a community of people that would relate to you. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and I think that's like a huge benefit of religion is that it can create this sort of community. and help us like leverage technology to do good things with like spiritual values.
Yeah, Raj, I hear you, man. Sorry, Raj, I was buying my tickets for the drive-in, bro.
Oh, driving, what you seeing?
I told you the Twisters. I guess
Oh
they
yeah,
got that
Twister,
quiet.
Twister.
Yeah, they got that quiet place. So, yep. But yeah, I'm here right now. Wrap it up.
Yeah, that sounds good, man. Did you want to do a prayer, or do you want me to do one to close it out?
Do you do it, man. You read them, and you do well at reading these things you
All
have.
right.
So I don't like this.
What 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 theme should I go? Community, unity, spirituality,
Community.
gratitude, community. All right, let's do it. All right. O thou kind Lord, these are thy servants who have gathered in this meeting, have turned unto thy kingdom, and are in need of thy bestowal and blessing. O thou God, manifest and make evident the signs of thy oneness which have been deposited in all the realities of life. Reveal and unfold the virtues which thou hast made latent and concealed in these human realities. O God, we are as plants, and thy bounty is as rain. Refresh and cause these plants to grow through thy bestowal. We are thy servants. Free us from the fetters of material existence. We are ignorant, make us wise. We are dead, make us alive. We are material, endow us with spirit. We are deprived, make us intimates, make us the intimates of thy mysteries. We are needy, enrich us and bless us from thy boundless treasury. O God, resuscitate us, give us sight, give us hearing, familiarize us with the mysteries of life, so that the secrets of thy kingdom may be revealed to us in this world of existence, and we may confess thy oneness. Every bestowal emanates from thee, every benediction is thine. Thou art mighty, thou art powerful, thou art the giver, and thou art the ever bounteous. Abdul Baha. All right, Matt.
Good job, Rob. We gotta get that. We gotta get that intro and outro soon, man.
Yeah, we gotta yeah, let's do that. That'll be good.
I'm gonna see if I can contact MC Hammer and get that outro, bro.
Yeah, get the rights to that for free.
Oh yeah. All right, bro.
All right. Peace.
Later.